Well, Ismael Ahmed, a member of the APC, is still here with us. Nyota, you have questions?
Yes, Ismael, you said something about improvement in the system. One would wonder why you'd say that there's an improvement in the system, even when some people say the Senate, or let me use the words that they use, that corruption is fighting back, though the Senate insists that it's based on a report that they made their decision.
Well, I don't know. I don't jump into that cliche of saying that corruption is fighting back, is doing this or that, and I think that's an accusatory explanation. What I'm absolutely confident of is that the institutions are being strengthened by the day to fight the scourge of corruption. You know, what we have always advocated for was a system where the fight against corruption would be a fight against corruption. The system that allows people, indisciplined people who do not have the moral rectitude to hold political authority, to dip their hands into the tills of government, not to fight corrupt people. There's a difference between fighting corrupt people and fighting corruption as a system. So I think the institutions are being strengthened by the minute to fight the system of corruption itself, not just corrupt people. Because if you end up fighting corrupt people only, then if the administration goes and somebody else who is more amenable or who is more susceptible to those corrupt people, then you know, the party will continue galore. But if you strengthen the institutions to fight the system, then the system would strengthen itself to flush out these issues. So I don't jump into that bandwagon of saying the corruption is fighting back. I think that as an administration, one of the hallmarks that brought us into office was the issue of fighting corruption. Now we have to do all we can without all these excuses of saying that corruption is fighting back.
I'm excited. You just talked about all that the people had in mind when they voted your party into office. What comes to mind now is looking at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. That is one area many Nigerians would want to liken to what happened in Singapore during the era of Lee Kuan Yew. We saw many ministers, and a couple of them who were tried, irrespective of their closeness to him then. What do you think we can do now, speaking while putting on your legal cap? You're also a lawyer, taking off the APC toga. Can you tell us what we should be doing when someone in government close to the president is being mentioned in some unwholesome dealings?
Well, I will. It's very difficult for me to take off my APC toga. But I will tell you this. Personally, I was devastated, honestly, when I heard the story. I'm not sure. I have not read any report. There was never a report that was sent out publicly for us to peruse and come to reach an independent judgment on it. But I was personally devastated. Because I kept saying to myself, you know, the SGF as a person was the first pick out, you know, to represent the party, supposed to be the link between the party and the government, being the former vice chairman of the Northeast of the APC. So we feel personally connected to him. And what devastated me the more was after the recommendation of the Senate for his resignation and subsequent prosecution. You know, after the budget, you know, presentation, and I saw this interview where he said that the Senate were talking rubbish, which I thought was not the best way to go about it. I think he should have been more clear, more forceful in pushing back.
Ismail, I decided to put all that to you because I know this can be very difficult for a party you fought so well for. But I'm speaking here first as a journalist and also as a Nigerian looking at the Northeast. We know what exactly is happening in the Northeast. Sometimes some others would want to even liken it to what is happening in faraway Syria. It touches the mind of every Nigerian when we hear the Northeast, and everyone would want to see that every kobo is well spent and accounted for our children and even widows and women in Nigeria's Northeast. Putting that on the corner and looking at what is being said at the moment, knowing that it has a connection to the Northeast, what should we be doing at this point in time?
What we should be doing is to wait for the complete report to reach the president and see what the president would do about it based on the facts on the ground. But I will tell you from my own point of view, if this is true, if there was a contract given to a company owned by the SGF, under the SGF, then the most honorable thing, the morally right thing for him to do, to save himself first and foremost, and the party in particular, and the country in general, the embarrassment going further, is for him to resign. Unfortunately, I never thought I would say this, but if that is the case, I think it's a complete betrayal of trust. I think it's a devastating situation for us if that is the case. But we're yet to know, because I'm still perplexed as to how somebody of his caliber would do something like that if it is true, because the allegations coming across are totally unbelievable, that someone in that authority, in that position, would give a company that he was a director in and sole signatory a contract at something that has to do with the Northeast, which he has been personally very passionate about from the beginning of his tenure as the SGF. So if that is the case, I think it's rather unfortunate. I think he has to go.
Well, Ismail, we'll leave it at that point, even though I'm tempted to ask you, do you also think he should be prosecuted?
Well, yeah, if that is the case. A very big if.
Okay, that's how we'll leave it. We've been speaking with Ismael Ahmed, who is a member of the All Progressives Congress. Sunrise Daily will continue in just a moment. Do join us again.